fracking. Chief economist at the American Petroleum Institute, Dr. John Felmy, here to give his take on the situation. Good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, as you may know, and St. Tammany Parish Council has come out against fracking. Residents there do not want it. They feel that the risks far outweigh the benefits. Your reaction?
It has never been demonstrated to have caused a problem, period. Not one single time. It has never been demonstrated to have caused a problem, period. Not one single time.
Consider what happened in this Appalachian town in Pennsylvania. In the shale gas gold rush, Dimmock is the ghost town. How many of you lost your water supply? And there are many more.
Yes.
Yes. A company called Cabot Oil and Gas paid many of the folks here $25 an acre, and they were happy until one day a water well exploded.
My boy had come over the night before and said, Dad, we got gas in the water over there. I can actually shake the jug up and light it.
You put a match to your water and it went up in flames?
I can take my water, just put it in a gallon jug, shake it up, turn it up, and it'll explode like.
Bill Ely demonstrated it for us by hooking a hose from his well to a jug and lighting it.
Gary?
State authorities have determined that gas leaked into the water because of a poor cement job.
What you need to do is understand what was the situation before you had drilling and what's the situation afterwards. And so far, we have seen no demonstrated cases of it causing a problem.
What happened in Tim and Christine Ruggiero's backyard is happening more and more. They moved to this pastoral 10-acre ranch in Decatur, Texas in 2004 to raise their horses and their daughter Riley. But in 2009, a company called Aruba Petroleum came and drilled 2 wells outside their windows, leaving behind this permanent eyesore.
You see over here on this tank, can you see where it's just been still leaking? Why is it doing that?
That leaking is just the half of it. They videotaped oozings and gushings. When the state environmental agency shot these hissing toxic air emissions with infrared cameras, the company was hit with a fine. I keep hearing that this process, the horizontal drilling and the fracking, is safe.
Well, define safe. Safe for who? Safe in the process or safe for the people that are 200 feet away from it?
They put a concrete casing down into the ground in between your water table and the drilling fluids. But cement doesn't ever crack. You don't ever have well blowouts.
In other words, taking shortcuts and human error are endemic to this drilling process. Here, valves weren't tightened, a tank left unattended overflowed, fluid spilled from a frac container.
Right now, there's a great need of water in the West. There's a shortage of it. People are very concerned, and it seems like it's right now a conflict between water and gas. And in the end, water wins out because we need water to survive. And if we're already dealing with a lack of it, it would seem that would put a more emphasis on the need for preserving the safe drinking water.
Well, first of all, it's clear that we do use water for hydraulic fracturing.
Are you using carcinogenic chemicals that are known to be carcinogenic in the fracking process?
Well, you're using about 99% is water, 0.5% is sand, and then you have some chemicals, most of which are basically household chemicals.
In September 2010, 8 companies responded to an EPA request for information. It took a subpoena to get Halliburton, the company that pioneered fracking, to respond. Fracking chemicals are linked to bone, liver, and breast cancers, gastrointestinal, circulatory, respiratory, developmental, as well as brain and nervous system disorders. and they are in frack waste and may find their way into drinking water and air. And it gets worse. Today, waste from Pennsylvania gas wells, waste that may also contain unacceptable levels of radium, is routinely dumped across state lines.
Methanol, hydrochloric acid, ethylene glycol. It's about 1/2% of the fracking fluid is a chemical, or is it really a cocktail of chemicals? And but do the math on that. That means that's 5,000 gallons per well is chemicals, or toxic chemicals that goes in. So if there's 8 wells per pad site, that's 40,000 gallons of toxic chemicals.
Now, the EPA is barred from regulating the impact of fracking on groundwater. In 2005, Congress exempted fracking from the Safe Water Drinking Act. So who is monitoring this situation to make sure that the water is safe?
Well, first of all, it's regulated under many other pieces of legislation, the Clean Water Act, for example, and many other state actions and so on. So the argument that it's not being regulated is simply not true. About 99% is water, 0.5% is sand, and then you have some chemicals, most of which are basically household chemicals. So there are some, but the key issue is they don't migrate beyond what you're doing.
When I first heard about shale drilling, it sounded like a pretty good idea. The thing that really got me interested and concerned was I found out that under the proposed regulations for New York State, you could drill a gas well 150 feet from this river or the lake that feeds it, which is the water source for this village. And that's just insane.
Truman Burnett's retirement dream has been destroyed after a gas industry truck spilled a small amount of polluted frack water onto his property.
My wife had some health problems, and this was her recovery area, and we had a little bit of heaven. The only thing you heard at nighttime here was your heartbeat. Now it's just totally devastated. And the water dumped out, down off their pad, down across my land, into my pond, through the pond and into the wetland here alongside me. And what it did, it killed the pond, killed the fish, killed everything in the pond. No frogs, no turtles, nothing. Our drinking water in our house has high concentrations of lead. They've recommended it, or they've told us not to drink it and don't bathe in it. From our heaven, now it's turned into our hell.
The estimate of the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Preservation is 1 serious environmental concern for every 150 wells drilled to date. You do the math. If we're talking hundreds of thousands of wells, we're doing hundreds or thousands of spills. That's called cumulative impact. So it goes to the heart of your question. Why are you not seeing all these things yet? Because the cumulative impact is accumulating.
Tony Ingraffia is one of the world's leading pioneers of fracture mechanics.
The fact is that Pennsylvania is 3 years into a 30-year large-scale industrial development. There are fewer than 2,000 Marcellus wells in Pennsylvania right now, but they're drilling them at the rate of 4 to 5 per day, and the rate at which they're being drilled is increasing. The industry intends to drill between 3,000 and 5,000 wells per year.
I have to say the days of having a nice conversation sitting out in front of the diner are long gone. Main Street's noisier and louder now than ever as a result of the large trucks that the industry requires. They run nonstop 24 hours a day through town, and yeah, the noise is louder than ever.
Whilst the increase in traffic represents an inconvenience for local people, the high volume of trucks point to far more serious problems.
Once the chemicals are injected and the fracturing process is complete, a large percentage of that fluid comes back up. So we have purposely polluted large quantities of fresh water with chemicals that do not belong in the human environment. And now we have the responsibility, the industry and the landowners have a responsibility to dispose of them properly.
As the profile of the potential dangers of hydraulic fracturing grows, both public and experts are becoming increasingly concerned by the rapid expansion of fracking. But the gas industry have hit back with expensive ads, PR campaigns, and high-level lobbying.
It's the cost-benefit of BS, of PR, of ads, and payoffs to politicians is extraordinary. The return on investment of paying off a politician, running an ad, discrediting critics, it's one of the best investments that the industry can make.
And so far, we have seen no demonstrated cases. It has never been demonstrated to have caused a problem. As of this point, we have never found one demonstrated case of contamination because of that.